Well, good morning today. Well, it's not even good morning. Look at it. It's still good morning. Look at it's pretty close, but it's still good morning. But we're going to talk today about our book. Today is Saturday, August 11th, and we're going to talk about the book Healthy Habits. Create healthy habits, and we can all do that. We all have habits. Every one of us have a habit, whether it's a good habit or a bad habit, and we're not going to call them that anymore. It's not a good habit and it's not a bad habit. It's a healthy habit or an unhealthy habit. So you have to think of which ones that you want to go with, and we're always going to want to go with the healthy habits. But before we go any further, I would like to share that I gained 1.3, and I'm back into the 30s, and I've lost my 75 pounds, because look at now I'm at 73.9, but I was going to show you my book. What did I do with it? Oh, here it is. I put all my charms on here. You think that would have gave me some inspiration, but I have to tell you, I mentioned it on my vlog yesterday, but I did have a non-scaled victory. Even though I had a 1 pound gain today, I knew that I was going to have the gain. On Fridays, I usually like to eat very lightly, only because I know I'm going to get weight on Saturday mornings. And I had gone to a reunion from when my company disbanded, where I was working. It broke off into all different divisions, and so some people went to this. We all had to get new employment, and some people went this way and that way and that way and that way. We all went to different companies, but Larry decided that he was going to get us all back together, so we went to his house yesterday, and so we had a somewhat reunion. And I did have a slice of pizza, I had a salad, and I had a couple jalapeno roll-ups that I made, which are 3 points each. But I drank water, I passed up the dessert tray, and there was desserts, let me tell you. There were desserts. And I didn't have any desserts, and I had a good time. I really had a good time. And I knew I'd have a gain today because of eating the pizza so late last night. But, I tell you this all the time. I want to lose my weight, but I want to have a good life in the meantime. I'm going to enjoy my life. I'm not going to deprive myself. I'm not going to be a martyr. I could have sat there and not had anything, and then I know I would have came home and binged, because that's what I would have done. I would have felt sorry for myself. But you know what? I'm slow and steady wins the race. It may take a long time, but I'm willing to wait. I really am. I've waited this long to try to be on a weight loss program. I don't consider this a diet. I consider it a lifestyle. And part of a lifestyle is knowing that you're going to go out and enjoy life. And you're going to have what you want to eat, and you're going to enjoy it, but you're going to get right back on track. And that's my plan today, is I'm going to get right back on track. Because you know what? That's a healthy habit that I have created. I know that I'm always going to have struggles with my weight my whole life. And I know that I'm going to come in contact with things that I like pizza and the desserts. I'll be honest with you, if the party would have been tonight, I would have had desserts, because I would have thought I had a whole week to lose it. But my healthy thinking told me, you know what, you don't really need it. You can have a good time without having food. Like I told you the other day, food is involved in anything celebratory. But you can control it, you really can. So what you want to do is think about what habits that you do have. And don't think of them as a good habit or a bad habit. Just think of them as a healthy habit or an unhealthy habit. And then you got to start your day off each day and think, do you want to start your day off with inspiration or with a habit? If you pick inspiration, you're going to be disappointed, because you want to forget about inspiration, because a habit is more dependable. A habit will sustain you whether you're inspired or not. You can hope that you can have an inspiration each morning, and you can hope that today's the day. Today's the day I'm going to be inspired to stay on my diet. But the habit that you have is going to be overcoming that, because you can be all the inspired that you are, and you're just going to say, you know what, I'm not going to put sugar in my coffee today because I'm inspired to lose weight today. And then without even thinking, you're going to make your coffee, and you're going to take the sugar, and you're going to put the sugar in, because that's a habit. You have good habits. Everybody brushes their teeth. Hopefully you floss. Although now they're saying that the flossing really doesn't make a difference. I still like to floss. But you know that you're going to eat at certain times. That's a habit. It really is a habit. Your body's going to tell you when you're hungry, obviously. But if you have the habit of eating breakfast when you first get up, you're going to eat breakfast when you first get up. That's just what's going to be. When you're getting in the car to go to work, your habit's going to tell you that this is the way I drive to work. I'm always going to go that way. When Jim and I leave the house, he goes that way to leave the subdivision. I go that way. It's a habit. It's just a way. You can get out either way, but it's just the way you know that you want to do, or what you're going to do. But you have to remember that habits are an acquired behavior, and a lot of times they're just involuntary. You just like when I get in my car, I automatically go that way. I automatically do that. I automatically go the same way to church. I go the same way to Kroger's. There's always different ways you could go. I always go the same way. It's just the way you want to do. So there's 3 things you want to remember. It's a reminder, a routine, and a reward. And the reminder is of the cue that triggers the habit. Oh my gosh, I just got up. I got to have my cup of coffee. That's a habit, and that's a cue. The routine is, that's the action you take. I'm going to get up. I'm going to brush my teeth. I'm going to just open up the curtains and blinds and stuff, and then I'm going to put the coffee pot on. I'm going to have a cup of coffee, and I'm going to put some sugar in it. That's a habit. That's just what you're doing. But the reward is the benefit you get, because every single habit that you have has a reward, and you have to think of what the reward is. You're going to feel good, first of all. A lot of times, driving someplace, maybe you found the fastest route, and so that's why you have the habit of going that way. Your reward is that you're going to get there in less time. Obviously, if you eat something fattening, it's going to just make you feel good. For that moment, maybe not afterwards, but for the moment you're eating it, you're thinking, this is pretty good, I really like it. You have to remember that a habit is a learned behavior. But you can always create a healthy habit, because when you struggle to make changes, it's often because you're not engaging in the new behavior enough. You need to do it long enough that it's going to become a new habit. Before they used to say just 30 days. Now they're saying 66 days. That's what they were saying at the meeting. I do know that it does take longer than just a couple weeks to get a new habit. This has taken me a while to get into eating and creating healthy habits because it took me almost a year. I'll be honest with you. It took me almost a year before I really got into this program full force, wholeheartedly. Not to say that somewhere along the road I hit a detour, which I've hit many along the way. I've hit a lot of detours, and I've struggled to stay on track. But the old habits tried to work their way back in, but I was recognizing that they were the old habits, and they weren't readily my best habits. And so realistically, that was the word I was looking for, realistically looking for them, they weren't realistically my best habits. And the old habits did try to creep in. A lot of times Sandy comes knocking at that door, and I do open up the door and welcome her with open arms. But it really only takes me a day or two to realize that that's not the habit I want to keep up with. And I do kind of nip it in the bud, like Barney Fife used to say in Andy Griffith. So you want to do is you want to remember that you want to think about what sustainable changes that you've made. Mine is that I eat a healthy meal for breakfast. I would always just like have a bowl of cereal. One of my major accomplishments is I eat my oatmeal just plain with nothing on it, just eat oatmeal. I used to put at least a tablespoon of sugar and then probably 2 or 3 tablespoons of brown sugar and the milk, and I'd mix it around, and it would be brown because there was so much sugar in it. And it just tasted so good. And I don't do that now. I eat a plain oatmeal. Not to say that I jumped off the diving board into the deep end. I waded into that pool, and I walked a little bit until I got a little bit deeper, And so now I don't even think about putting sugar on it at all. If we understand our success is by changes in our habits, not by the scale. Like I said, I did have the 1 pound gain today, but I had a habit of going to a party and always eating whatever was put in front of me, because every table I went to visit other people, there was like a bowl of chips with some dip, and there was spinach dip with the breadsticks to dip into it. There was the Doritos, there was the guac, there was all kinds of stuff. My old habit would have been a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that from Fiddler on the Roof. I always have quotes. They float around in my mind. I can't help it. They just got to get out of there. But, and I am a movie buff. And I am quotes. If you watch my daily vlog, you see I like to do a daily quote. I just love quotes. I live my life by them a lot. But now where was I going? So anyway, my habit was To like I'm sitting talking to you, mindlessly eat the chips and dip, to eat the chips and dip. No, I didn't do that last night. I mindlessly saw them, mindfully saw them sitting there and knew that if I took one, it would lead to two, which would lead to three, which would lead to four. So you just have to know that you can always eat what you want. You just have to work it into your plan. I knew I was going to go to the party last night. I had no intention of eating a breakfast as big as I did because I was just going to have a very light 0-point breakfast, but then I made Sophia breakfast only to find out that she had already eaten breakfast. So I ate her breakfast, which was, the only points were the bacon and the toast, but the bacon was, now that I think about it, the bacon was kind of salty too. I usually don't eat bacon the day before. So anyway, I ate a little bit more than I wanted, but for the most part, if I want something, I plan it into my day, and I go to my party, and I have fun, and I realize that I don't have to have food to have a good time. And you have to remember that healthy habits will stick. You have to stay focused on your plan, but you want to be flexible. Always remember, it's not a perfect journey. You're going to have the few, but they're few and far between, they're so truly 100% dedicated to this plan from A to Z, that they're never going to go off from the point they leave from A to the point they get to Z. I like to go A, B, C, D. Oh, I'm going to go off here for a little while. And then I come back E, F, G, and then I'm off out this way, and then H, I, J, and then I'm off that way. This is the way I'm going to do my plan. This is the way that works for me. It may not work for everybody, but it works for me. I am content to lose less than a pound a week. I was content to gain the pound today because I just know it was probably a sodium gain, but you know what? I'll get back on track. I'm not worried. What we want to do is you want to focus on the big picture. You got to look at every morning when you get up and think that this is a new chance. Every morning before my feet hit the floor, because I can't kneel anymore, so I say my prayers laying in the bed. I always think, first of all, I thank God that I woke up in the morning. I pray for a healthy day. I pray that I make smart choices, not even just on my food choices, but choices in life. And that I pray for my family. I pray for my YouTube family. I have my special intentions. And then I play games on my phone. I check my bank balances. I do all of that stuff. I probably lay in bed for at least a half hour, 45 minutes before I even get out of bed. But I'm in no hurry to get on with my day because, you know, I want to get stuff out of the way that way first. But I'm trying to see some other stuff that maybe I need to talk about. Oh, you want to create your environment. That's another thing. You want to have an action that you're going to do one thing at a time. If it's going to take you a while to get really committed to the program, just think that today I'm not going to put sugar in my coffee. Or I'm going to put a half a teaspoon of sugar in my coffee instead of a tablespoon of sugar. Just one little tiny little things that you want to do. And you want to create a base that changes your habits. And you want to find a reason, and you want to find your why. A lot of times you got to really dig deep to find out what your why was. My why is I just want to be around for 20 more years. And nobody's guaranteed their life. I understand that. But, you know, like, you can do better in your life to try to extend your life. And you want to create an if and there plan. And an if plan is that you want to identify the cues that are going to make you go off of your habits. You want to know what your current habits are. And you want to remember if they're good or not so good, and which ones need to be changed. And, you know, barter if you really want something. You know, like a lot of times you can think, oh, I really want that cookie. I really want that cookie. Look at the clock. I might have a couple that I can look at. And just say to yourself, you know, I'm going to give myself 5 minutes. And if in 5 minutes I really want it, then I'm going to have it. That's what I'm going to do. You know what? I never even got to do any of the books things. But I'm going to do the Think Again page real quick. The unhelpful thought is, I wish I had healthier habits, but that's just not the way it is. But the helpful thought is, I may not have as many healthy habits as I wish I did, but that can change. I have the power to create my own habits. And the unhelpful thought is, building a habit is too much work. I'll never be able to do it. But the helpful thought is, building a habit does sound challenging, but I can do it. If I pair a cue with a behavior I want to accomplish, the more I do the behavior, when I get the cue, the more likely it will be to become a habit. I'm sorry I kind of rushed through this and I never really went through the book, but I think I kind of gave you the book in a nutshell, hopefully. I hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, and share if you think it'll help somebody. So I'll see you guys next week.